The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're gonna love it.
Okay, let's go.
Stout, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. This is somebody that we have tried a few times to get together, and third time is the charm. Caroline Stout, and let me set the stage here. So this is how I discovered Caroline on Instagram. She basically had put out a reel, and it started out with, I used to be part of the Charlie Kirk Turning Point organization. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, I want to dive into this. And then she's like, this is how you leave the conservative movement. And I was interested even more because honestly, I think Charlie Kirk is a total clown. So, hey, welcome to the Deep Shallow Dive. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for reaching back out after I made it hard to. So
No,
I
it's all
really
good.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, start us off. And by the way, Caroline is in Texas, and I think this kind of matters because, Texas is really, in my opinion, kind of Republican central, and it's kind of one of the core states that, quite frankly, pretty much agrees with everything this Trump administration does, maybe Texas and Florida, but I think Texas even more than Florida because there was tension between DeSantis and Trump. I don't know if there's ever really been any tension between Governor Abbott and Trump, but talk to us about, I want to start off with like your upbringing in your childhood because you grew up in a very like Christian conservative upbringing. Talk us through all that.
Yeah. So I grew up. So Texas, actually, I recently saw a statistic where I want to say that there are more just below the same amount of registered Democrats as there are Republicans.
Wow. Okay.
So it's actually I believe pretty evenly split, and the demographics have shifted so much that now white people are no longer the majority in Texas. So
Wow.
there's a lot of demographic shifts and a lot of people moving to Texas just for the economy, because businesses are coming here. So there's a lot of demographic and political shifts happening. I'll definitely need to confirm that statistic, but I do believe I did see that. But culturally, Texas is so varied. Like there's these major metropolitan cities in Houston and Dallas and Austin and San Antonio where there are a lot of more of a liberal presence. And then now I live up in the Panhandle, which is like we border Oklahoma and Colorado, New Mexico. Like I'm 45 minutes from New Mexico. It's a very rural, very agricultural area. So it's very culturally conservative. Growing up, I grew up in a suburb of Houston. So even though I was in the Houston metroplex, my upbringing and my family and community of origin was largely very conservative. So I grew up going to a Baptist megachurch in Houston.
Okay.
So like 3 days a week, sometimes more, involved, always around this this Christian conservative ideology.
And these mega churches, this is like the crazy, like, is this the John Hagee style,
This is the, like, you see those videos that go viral of like the Christmas programs with like aerialists and like smoke. Yes, that was, and I thought that was normal. I thought that was what church was. Like, I just thought that was normal. And so, like the main campus of the church has like a gym and racquetball courts and a pool.
Dang.
Like exactly. Like that's ludicrous. But that's kind of what I grew up around. And this church is not afraid to have politicians come and speak from the pulpit on Sundays, have local and nationwide politicians come and speak. There's like a 4th of July service. So it's very, growing up, I thought like, oh, it's patriotic. Like we love our country. That's what we do. That's just who we are. Like we're good, patriotic people. Now in retrospect.
And by the way, this is Baptist. You said Baptist, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so does Baptist fall under, like, it's not Catholic, it's under Christianity, under Protestantism? Is it a
Yeah,
form of Protestantism?
exactly. It falls under that umbrella. It's the evangelicals,
Okay.
it's part of that sect. So it's a
Okay.
subsect of Protestantism. And
Okay.
so the church I grew up at was technically like Southern Baptist, but
Okay.
it wasn't what you would really it was more of just a mega church, that
Okay.
had
Okay.
Baptist in the name.
Let
Um
me ask you this, was it
yeah.
like super pro-Israel? Was it all about did that come into play?
Think so. I have not been back at this church. Have not been a member there since about 2020.
Okay.
So I would assume.
But I'm talking
Well,
you're
okay,
growing
actually,
up, like you're growing up. Do you remember? Because I've talked a lot about, I mean, obviously what's going on in Gaza has been an unbelievable situation,
right.
across the board. And I've talked a lot on this podcast and I've brought a lot of different guests. I brought Christian pastors on because I'm really trying to
Yeah.
understand that almost that upbringing that
Mhm.
these Christians had to unequivocally support Israel. And again, I'm not even judging. I'm just trying to understand why
Right.
is that? Because on another side, so many Christian pastors that are incredibly well respected are screaming at the top of their lungs that, hey, the modern state of Israel is not what the new covenant was about. That's not
Exactly.
what it's all. It's about following Jesus Christ. And so the God's chosen people is not Benjamin Netanyahu in the modern state of Israel.
Right.
It's those that believe and have taken Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. I'm just trying to understand how were you brought up and what were your thoughts as a kid?
Yeah, so now in retrospect, I'd never really like made this connection before, but they never really outwardly like spoke about like,
Okay.
hey, like we need to be like we're going to the APAC convention or something. Like it
Got it.
was it was much more it was never that overt,
Okay.
but
Okay.
for I don't even know how long the church has taken annual trips to Jerusalem, to Israel.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So, like, it's like a group, our head pastor, and then a group of like people that sign up to go and do like the Holy Land tour,
Got
which
it.
is very, very impactful from a
Sure.
faith perspective. Um, and so I think that probably could lend itself
Okay,
into
okay.
that
But
unequivocal, like,
you don't remember that being pounded in your head during sermons growing up?
I think it was uh, really like an issue as much at the time. I think now I w I would be surprised if they have not
Got it,
said, "We
got it,
stand with Israel." Like, I
got it,
would be
got
very
it.
shocked if they had
Okay,
don't.
got it. Okay, totally fair.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. So talk about, like, how did Turning Point happen, and how did you get involved, and how old were you when you got involved with that organization? And then let's talk about Charlie Kirk and all that.
So, my growing up in my family of origin, my community of origin, being a conservative and being a Republican was the default. That was absolutely the default setting.
Yeah,
Like, it was pounded into us
yeah,
the like don't be don't be one of the people that goes to college and becomes a liberal atheist. Like that was like our worst case scenario, right? So it was always the default for me, and I leaned into that because oldest daughter, people pleaser. I didn't want to think for myself. And
right.
so when I was 16, I decided, "Hey, like I'm interested in government, I'm interested in politics. I think I'm going to get involved." So my family was pretty plugged in, like my grandparents were RNC delegates. They're very plugged in with the like Harris County
Got it.
down in Houston. And so we did the whole like introducing me to people, like make an introduction, like how politics is. It's just a series of introductions until you get plugged in. And so it wasn't long before I was involved with now Governor Greg Abbott's campaign, involved with that, involved with a state rep campaign. So I was actively block walking, phone banking, like really, really involved. Started a like Young Republicans chapter in my high school. And
Wow.
so,
Okay.
yeah, like I was all in.
You
Like I
were
had
all
said,
in. And what year is this? This is like
this was
when?
in 2014.
2014. Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah, 2014. So I got invited by some of the ladies at the Harris County Republican Party to go to an event with a guy named Charlie Kirk. And they're like, he's a young guy. He's been on Fox News. He's real well spoken. He's gonna working to save America. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, like that sounds amazing. Like I think I've seen him on TV. And so I go to this little event. I think there's probably like 20, probably even no more than that, 20 young conservative activists there to listen to Charlie give his pitch about Turning Point. And so this was the first time I'd ever met him, heard from him, and I was like instantly locked in because like the way that he sold the movement was it's just fiscal responsibility and limited government. That's it. No social issues. And I had felt like deep in my conscience and my humanity, I really struggled with a lot of the social issues like gay marriage and abortion and immigration. Cause I was like, I feel for people. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I have compassion for people. I have a really hard time signing on with these policies that are not dignifying to people.
Gotcha. So like you're even at that young age, you've got this little internal struggle going that you're cool with the fiscal responsibility, and then even what did you say the second one? Fiscal
It was
and
fiscal responsibility and limited government. That was the
limited government. Okay.
refrain that he
Got
would
it. Got
repeat.
it. Got it. Okay. You were cool with that. You're like, okay, awesome. I'm on board there. But internally, you're kind of like, but
I was like,
dang, I don't want to be part of like and really that's the whole Republican Party in terms of, the obviously abortion, LGBTQ, those things. You had
right.
more of a empathetic view on those.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be
Okay.
one of the bad guys.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, I kind of felt the same way in the mid to early 2020 in that time. Okay, got it. Go ahead. All right, interesting.
Yeah, so it was just really easily digestible. Much more than like the Fox News version that I was getting that
Got
was
it.
much more or like the whatever I think this was around when gay marriage became legal. So that was like the big issue. And so I was just like, "Ugh, I I'm not going to be as outspoken if we're doing that, but I could do limited government and fiscal responsibility because you're able to intellectualize it and remove yourself and
Right.
use logic and reason to justify those beliefs more so than the social issues." So I locked in at that point. Then the next day went to a donor dinner that he was throwing to fundraise for Turning Point USA because this is back in 2014. He started Turning Point in 2011 or 2012. So it was pretty
Mhm.
early on and he was still in that early fundraising period. And so got invited to the donor dinner to be like, this is a young activist.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's when they were like, you should come with us to CPAC. And so I got plugged in from there, and it really didn't take a lot because they were really eager to grow their network and their base of involved people because the more young people they could platform and showcase, the
Totally.
more that they would be able to hold that out in front of potential donors.
Totally,
And
totally,
so
and
that was
especially female too, right? Like, I have to imagine, like, they were even more excited to have you because you're a female and you're a pretty female, like, all those things. I mean, that's just calling a spade a spade. Like, that's just the reality of what they think they can use to sell something.
exactly, and that's what they were looking for. So and that was what the like going to CPAC was
Okay.
getting all of the high school and college students that are involved, bringing them all to CPAC so that we can like essentially take over and represent the organization and really put on a show about how big the organization is.
And for those that don't know what CPAC is, can you just
Yeah,
explain that?
absolutely. So sorry. Being in the conservative bubble, I just assume
Sorry.
everyone knows all the jargon. It's
Yeah.
the Conservative Political Action Conference. And the way that I would have described it back then when I was involved was like the Republican Super Bowl. Because
Okay.
it was like all of the potential presidential candidates are there. It's the
Got it.
who's who is there, all the media outlets, all of the smaller media outlets, all the organizations. So
Got it.
anybody that is remotely involved in conservative politics would go to CPAC.
Got it. Okay, that's a great description. The Republican Super Bowl. Oh my God, you should trademark that. That's really good.
Don't know if I want to be associated with
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
actually, good point. Good point. Good point.
Yeah. But so we did that, and that's really how I got kind of solidified as being
Okay.
involved in the organization. And so at this
Okay.
time, I was a senior in high school. And so I was 18 years old,
Yeah.
running around DC,
Yeah.
like
You must
having,
have felt like you were the shit.
and that's the key. That's the thing. They use that very specifically designed technique to make young people feel important and to
Absolutely.
feel belonging so
Absolutely.
that that this becomes their identity,
Absolutely.
because they hand you a perfectly packaged identity and ideology, and all you have to do is put that on to be accepted into this group of people that know politicians and go on TV.
Yeah.
And so you feel so important. And then like organizations like Turning Point, Leadership Institute, other ones like that, you can be set up for a political future just by being involved in these kind of organizations. Just look at all
Absolutely.
the people that are plugged into this administration that got
Absolutely.
started in organizations like this.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had stars in my eyes about being somebody.
Totally, totally. That totally makes sense. I mean, gosh, that would be impactful on anybody, let alone an 18-year-old. Okay, that's very powerful. And I mean, that's the cult mindset. That really is the cult mindset of making people want to be a part of something and belong and all that. Okay. All right, so go on. So you got into it, and then how many other 16-year-olds were in, or 18-year-olds were in the mix? Was it a lot of younger people, or was it
It was probably one of the younger. I
okay,
think it was a lot of college age. So I mean, when I say younger, by like a year or two.
got it, got it.
Like I was like 18. I think there was some other like young high school age, but it's mostly college because that was
Okay,
that's their bread and butter.
got it, got it.
And so I got plugged in at that point. Came back that summer. So the summer after I graduated high school, I went to the first ever Young Women's Leadership Summit. And so they put me on a panel to speak at this Young Women's Leadership Summit. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going places,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like you feel so important. Am I saying anything important? No, but I'm like saying it nonetheless. And so got involved there. And then I ended up the second semester of my freshman year of college, I ended up working as a field staffer for them on staff. So at Texas A&M University. And so I was employed by them.
Yeah.
And then the summer after that, I went and I interned at their headquarters. So I lived in a house full of Turning Point people. It's called the Liberty
Wow.
House.
Wow.
We all lived together and worked together. And that was and you would go to all the conferences.
This
And
is in San Antonio?
so at the time, their headquarters was outside of Chicago,
Oh, okay, got it,
in the
got it.
suburbs of Chicago. Now I believe they're headquartered in Phoenix,
Oh, okay, okay.
I believe. Yeah. And so I did media for them. So I wrote a lot of articles and did videos and interviewed people and got to meet all sorts of people that I'd see on TV. Like I got to like hang out backstage with people that I see on Fox News.
That's
And
interesting. Yeah,
and then
that's
you
interesting.
feel like so important. And you feel like
Absolutely.
I'm part of the movement and I'm like on the inside when you're not on the inside. The inside is not anywhere near anyone who is not
Yeah.
worth at least 7 digits and like
Yeah.
figures and stuff.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that's not the inside. But you
And so
feel
what
important.
year is this? Where in what year?
2016.
Okay, 2016. So now Trump's in the mix on the Republican side. So like what was that? What was that about? Because I don't think it was a very smooth, introduction into the Republican
Man.
Party for Trump, especially in 2015, 2016, right?
Right. So the shift, so I talk about CPAC. The shift from 2015 to 2016, just in the general, I hate to use the term, but the vibes
Yeah.
of the conference was stark. It was such a difference. Like 2015, like you've got everyone speaking, like it's exciting. 2016, like the writing's on the wall. Like it's the MAGA is taking over, the alt-right is
Interesting.
taking over.
Yeah.
And it was just a very, very different dynamic.
Okay.
So I was this was when I was interning with them that summer. This was before Trump got the nomination. And so there really was a lot of discourse in the conservative world of the MAGAs versus the never Trumpers. And Charlie himself was a never Trumper
Is
at the
that right?
time.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and a lot of people in Turning Point were because we like really I don't know, like I think a lot of the people that were involved saw the discourse and the language he was using and a lot of the policies that he was promoting, and it was just this was not the conservative party, the conservative ideology that we believed in.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
it was something that like lock her up and build the wall. Like these are threats and they're
Yeah, yeah,
intimidations. And
yeah.
that was
Interesting.
just it was not it was there definitely was a divide, but there were people that signed on pretty early because I think they not necessarily believed in what Trump was saying and what he had to say, but they saw that he was a strong man and they saw that he was going to rise to power and they were going to rise with him.
Yeah.
So I think a
Okay.
lot of the early adopters of Trump are people that either didn't really have principles to begin with or were opportunists or they shared these principles but hadn't been super vocal about it.
Okay, totally get.
Um
That's interesting. I never thought that what Charlie and Turning Point's take was in 2016. It's funny. You look back at like JD Vance in even 2020. I mean, he
right.
was a never Trumper.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio was a never Trumper.
Yep.
Hell, probably 80% of this dude's current administration were people that said he was the worst thing on the earth, and now they're part of it. And Charlie in particular now is just such a cuck. Like he's just such a
He's bought I mean, yeah, bought and
tool.
sold, like,
He's
he's
bought and sold
entrenched.
100 times over. It's interesting that in 2016 or 2015, you're saying that wasn't necessarily the case. I was actually expecting you to maybe say, and Charlie got on board with the Trump train. It sounds like he did not.
No, I don't quite remember who his candidate was at the time.
Okay.
I well, I don't remember. It
Probably Jeb Bush. It was
wasn't
probably.
Jeb. I don't think it was
Oh,
Jeb.
okay.
I
Interesting.
think it was either Rick Santorum or, maybe not Ben Carson. But,
Okay,
yeah,
but not
like
Trump.
not Trump, and
Okay, that's all we need to know.
I don't think that he was super outspoken about
Mm,
being a never Trumper. I don't recall that.
okay, okay.
So
And then
so
was
I
he going on to the college campuses and, like, debating people at that time? When did that start? Because that's how I discovered him. I discovered him through Instagram and other videos really during the COVID aspect where he was basically debating people in 2020 and all that. So did you stick with them from, let's say, 2016? I guess when did you have your epiphany and break from the conservative movement, and what caused that?
Yeah, man. So a lot of it did start during that transition we were talking about, but from 2015 through 2016, the rise of Trumpism on the right. I knew that that was something that I was at that point I was uncomfortable with. I hadn't really started to look at my political ideology under a microscope quite yet. But I knew that hate-filled rhetoric was not the what I wanted to align myself with.
I gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And so I started to really kind of wrestle with my beliefs at that time. For example, I wrote a like little op-ed thing for the website saying basically condemning the alt-right and saying the alt-right is dangerous. Like this is not conservatism, like this is
Right.
dangerous. And I thought that condemning neo-Nazis was reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that that is something we can all agree on, us decent people. But I got a fair amount of backlash from people online, and I actually got people coming into my Twitter, like, sending death threats to me. And
Oh my
so,
goodness.
because I was speaking out against, like, fascist alt-right movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And this
so
and this is 2016. Okay. Holy mackerel.
this is back in 2016. And so that's when I started to really recognize that there is a very dangerous hideous undercurrent in the conservative world that just doesn't gel with me. Like I can't do that. I can't be a part of that. And so I started to kind of I started working full time in the fall of 2017 as the operations manager for their media and their website and stuff. And so I was really putting out a lot of content, managing their writers, editing a lot of their content. And at that point, I started to get kind of jaded because I also realized that if I'm skewing content to be uh, inflammatory and to be, uh, I don't know, designed to like scare
Yeah. To
people and
create a narrative, to create a narrative
exactly,
and
I was
create a,
like, if I'm doing that, like, what other outlets are doing that? And that's when, like, the veneer kinda started to break for me with, like,
yeah.
Fox News and, like, CNN, and I'd
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, wait, they have an agenda here too." So I'm like,
Were you being told to do that? Like, did your editor or your boss or whoever say, "Hey, write an article that talks about blah, blah, blah." Like, did you feel like they were guiding you to that? Or what caused your spidey senses to go off? Besides, I feel like you just didn't vibe with the vibe that they had. I get that. But was there anything that you felt was being sort of pushed top down?
yeah, I mean, there weren't, like, specific directions to be like, "We need to scare people and use scare
Okay, okay,
tactics." So it
okay,
wasn't, like, that
okay, okay,
nefarious,
okay, got it, got it, got it.
but Charlie did say, he's like, "We want this website to be the right's answer to, like, BuzzFeed and Vice."
Okay, okay, okay,
So it
okay,
was very much like, we need to have conservative skewed content that reaches young people.
got it. Okay,
So
got it,
that
got it.
was that was
Okay,
the that was the mandate there is let's make content that appeals to young people but is from a conservative perspective that sheds a different opinion, a different light
okay,
on things, aka is biased right heavily.
okay, got it, got it. Okay, okay, totally get it. But it wasn't necessarily as gosh, probably as prescriptive as the way Fox and those guys operate. And Fox, MSNBC, CNN, I kind of think I lump those guys all together. They're two sides of the same coin, in my
Yeah.
opinion, especially
Yeah.
nowadays. Okay, all right. So you're getting disenchanted, but then you're mandated to kind of create this content that was taking you in a direction that you just internally felt comfortable with. Let me ask this, your family, like, were you able to share this with your parents? Or I don't know if you have siblings or people that were, close to you, your inner circle. Were you like, "Hey, I'm not feeling this anymore"? How did that play out?
I mean, not really. Like it
Mm,
was a very, very
yeah.
internal journey that I went on from 2017, 2018. 2017 is when I left the
Okay.
organization. I think it was the spring of 2017. But it wasn't really anything that I shared like with my family. like, I had built my entire college experience and social group around conservatives and
Yeah.
Republicans. So when I couldn't question my political views because number one, I'd been so vocally conservative and had
Yeah.
been like not fully platformed by Turning Point, but to an extent had been platformed. Like I was very concerned about my credibility
Okay.
to
I
just
see.
walk back
Got
on
it. Got
everything
it.
I believed in because I was having to undo all of my beliefs.
I see what
And
you're saying.
then on the other hand, where the culture that I come from and that a lot of people on the right come from is having your faith and your politics completely intertwined.
Okay, amazing. Let's talk about this. Amazing. Okay, okay. So that Christianity, and in your case Baptist, that falls under Protestantism, and really this whole evangelical concept married with the
Mhm.
conservative Republican mantra, it's almost like they try to mesh them into one.
Percent. I believed and was taught you cannot be a Christian and vote for Democrats. Like
Wow.
you cannot be a liberal and also be a Christian.
That's wild. Like, talk about separation of church and state not
No
existing.
kidding. Yeah, no,
That's
it's
amazing.
crazy. And like for me to question my political views, I couldn't question my political views without also having to take a hard look at my religious views too.
Right,
Because
right.
they were so and that
Okay.
and that's so dangerous because that made me very scared to think critically about my political views
Yeah, yeah,
because of
yeah.
the
Okay, great
implications.
point. Wow. Okay, so you hesitated to think about your political views because honestly, that probably would have caused you internally to then assess your religious views, which you've grown up with. I think a
Exactly.
lot of people are going through that exact struggle right now. I really do. I'm seeing it. And obviously, the situation in Gaza is kind of causing, a lot of
Yeah.
Christians to say, wait a minute, as a Christian, my God, on one hand, I'm being told to support Israel because they're God's chosen people. But on the other hand, as a Christian, how can I advocate for a child getting his arm blown off? I've got a lot of friends going through that right now. And that's a battle, man. That's a battle.
It's such a battle because
It
it's
is.
like they've made it and it's by design. They've made it by design so that for you to question your politics, it's a crisis of faith and you question your like eternal damnation and salvation.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
absolutely.
that's the
And I
level
think
it's
that's
at.
why guys like Ted Cruz goes on Tucker Carlson and just completely makes a fool of himself, but it proves that intertwining. He's like, growing up, I went to Bible school, or I went to church, and I was told, uh, the whole Genesis 12:3 thing. And then he's like, and I want to be on the right side of that. And then Tucker's like, the right side of what? The Bible told you that. He looked so terrible, but
Yeah.
he's probably one of those people that is so intertwined on that, gosh, sometimes I wonder, like, okay, is he really that brainwashed, or is he just using it because it's to his political advantage? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't it's so hard to tell. It really is so hard to tell because like I know that I was totally like I totally believed that. Like
Yeah,
I was totally locked in with that until I started to undo my political agenda. But I do think there are people, I don't know if Ted Cruz, but there are people that do weaponize it and do look at that and say, "Hey, I can appeal to this group by being that perfect Christian conservative that they want and use
absolutely.
this like religious mandate to justify my poor policies."
Absolutely. I think Lindsey Graham's the perfect example of that. I think Lindsey Graham weaponizes it.
Yeah.
He doesn't there's no ethics or true belief in anything to me with that guy, but he weaponizes it
Yeah.
and says what he knows will twist people into basically doing what he claims he wants them to do. Okay, amazing.
Exactly.
All right, so tell us, like, when was it that you finally broke, and then did you start to question your religious beliefs? Because at the beginning of the podcast, I don't know if we were on the air or off. Actually, I think we hadn't started recording yet. You told me, I said, "Hey, are you a Christian?" You're like, "Yeah, I was, and then I went away, and now I'm back." So, like, talk us through that. Like, did you really question your faith while you were questioning your political, I guess, ideology?
Yeah, that was such a big part of it because my political ideology was so rooted in my faith.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
amazing.
I I couldn't help but to have to look at my religious beliefs. And so I had like the thought of, okay, if the media and the government has an agenda and is trying to convince me of something, is the church doing the same thing? Is
Mm,
the church trying to convince me and trying to like use this institution as a means to control me? Is this just the other side of the same coin
wow.
of politics?
I give
And
you a
so
lot of credit for tackling that. Plus, at this point, you're what? You're 18, 19?
I was 20.
You're 20. Okay, still, that's so
Yeah.
young.
And it was, I mean, it was hard. It was really hard because like I I wasn't in a church community super that really had a lot of room for doubts, you
Mm,
know? And so something that I tell myself now, like I've come back around spiritually, like now I do consider myself a Christian, but I always remind myself, if my faith, like if God is strong, if God is real, then my doubts won't do anything to him. Like I have no reason to not doubt. And if my doubts break down the idea of God and break down the idea of religion, then it wasn't that strong to begin with.
interesting.
So then
Okay.
I'm better for it. And so that was kind of that was something that I didn't realize at the time. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of isolation, and then also a lot of shame because you have to admit if you're rejecting your previous political views, there's a lot of shame involved and
Sure,
a lot
sure.
of having to admit that you're wrong and admit that you were almost like that you were duped, like that you were
Yeah, yeah,
tricked.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I know that, and you have to swallow your pride in order to do that. I actually think a lot of people are in that exact spot right now where, whether it's them voting for Trump or the religious aspect, like, I think a lot of people feel like they've been duped. And the ones that can swallow their pride and say, "You know what? I was duped. I'm admitting it and I'm changing course." My hat's off to those people. The ones that, aren't able to do that, even though they know they're duped, they're just going to continue down that path. I think that's at play right now for sure.
I think it really, really is. And since I made my first TikTok and
Yeah.
Instagram reel, the one that you saw,
Yeah.
I've had so many people message me and comment and say, "Oh my gosh, I used to be a conservative or I used to be involved in Turning
Okay.
Point and now I'm a progressive. Now I've left or now I've left the organization and I like hate that I was a part of that." So there definitely are a lot of people who are going on that journey and are
Yeah.
looking really critically at their political and their religious views and saying, is this what I align with? Is this what I want the world to be?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they're changing course. And it
Yeah.
and it takes admitting that you're wrong. Like when I made my video, I had so many like people on in the comments saying, "Well, we don't want you, like shame on you for being involved." And I own that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say I'm not gonna try and make an excuse for it. I can explain that I was a child, that I was indoctrinated, that Turning Point very, like, insidiously targets college and high school students because they're impressionable. I can explain that, but I'll also take responsibility for what I did. And
Okay. Good for
I
you.
think that there are a lot of people who are going on that journey, and they just need to be given permission, and they need to know that there's a place for them to go. Because one
Absolutely.
of the things on the right, it's not as much the policies that drive a lot of people, it's the need for belonging. It's the need for that community because it's a lot of people that really need the people around them, and because otherwise they may not have ideology of their own. And so
Absolutely.
it's a really scary thing to strike out on your own away from a group that you're comfortable in. And so that's one of the reasons why I've started speaking out about my
Yeah.
experience being involved in Turning Point, being involved in conservative politics, so that I can communicate to people there is a place for you. Like, it's here with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there
Totally.
you have permission to rethink your views, and you should want to, because as an individual, you deserve to think for yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me ask you this. So you've gotten a lot of love and a lot of hate, it seems, right? So like a lot of
Mhm.
people were like, "Oh my God, thank you for speaking up. I feel the same way." And then you've got the flip side of, the Kool-Aid drinkers. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. The ones that believe that they came at you a little aggressively. Did anyone from Turning Point reach out and be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you bad-mouthing us?" Although it's not like you were even bad mouthing them. You're just sharing your experience. I've consumed a lot of your content. And again, what I will say as a credit to you, you don't come off as it's not like you're a whistleblower, saying everything's horrible. You're literally just sharing your experience. And hey, this is what happened to me. This is why, and this is where I'm at now. If you feel the same way, don't feel embarrassed about it. That's what I get from your content.
Well, I'm glad that that's what you, because that's what I'm trying to do. I've
Yeah.
been very, very conscientious because, I mean, like I said earlier, I really value credibility, and I don't
Yeah.
want to come across as someone who's like a scorned former Turning Point
Yeah,
person
there you go. There
who
you
had a
go.
bad experience and hates Charlie for some personal reason. Like, no, like I don't have any personal beef with the organization, and I've tried to be very conscientious of that. Number one, like, I don't want them to litigate against me.
Right,
Like, I don't
right,
want to go
right,
to
right.
court for something,
Yeah, yeah,
because I
yeah.
know how
And
litigious
you're
they
a
are.
lawyer, so you're a lawyer and you don't wanna litigate, so no, I totally get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you kept up with kind of the things going on with them? Like, did you see, for example, maybe it was a week ago or so, he had a round table with a bunch of young conservatives, and it was almost like he was trying to say, "Hey, it's okay if you question our involvement in Israel and all that." It really felt like a Jedi mind trick. Did you see that or no?
No, I
Okay,
didn't. I
okay,
didn't. But that's so what they do now. Like, that's
okay.
just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so the tactic, because back when I was involved, it was much more about like real campus activism
Yeah,
and not just performative debating on campus.
yeah, performative debating on campus. That's another thing. He did some of that and he went over to Cambridge. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw
And
some of those and they
yeah,
ate him alive.
they hooked him. They
It was
completely cooked
great,
him.
and they were so respectful.
No, they were.
They did not engage in the stupid, like, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Charlie
Right, right,
Kirk
right, right.
talk fast, interrupt
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah,
so that, like, no one has a chance to, and then
yeah.
all the whataboutism.
Yes.
Like, they were actually skilled orators and
Yeah.
debaters, and he could not hold his own.
He
It
could
was fun
not.
to
He
watch.
got absolutely cooked. Okay. All right. So tell us now kind of, what your goal is and what your mission is and what you're doing. And obviously I'll put all the links in the show notes, but I want people to really understand what you're trying to accomplish and how you're going about it.
Yeah, I think, right now, like, the reason I made my initial video was because I want to eventually, I don't have kids yet. I want to, and I want to be able to look them in the eye and say that I did absolutely everything I could to prevent fascism and authoritarianism in America.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to leave anything on the table. Or I want to leave it all on the table, whatever the phrase
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I forget what
um
that is.
Leave it all in the court. We'll say that.
Leave it all on the
Um,
court. There you go.
um, but so really, like what I said, I want people to understand that you have permission to question what you were raised to believe. You have permission to question what is being fed to you by media. And that's not in a do your own research kind of crazy conspiracy theorist kind of way. It's in a look at your ideology and really critically think about why you believe what you espouse as your beliefs, and really make sure that it's consistent with who you are as a person, because otherwise you're going to be living your life as a non-fully integrated person. You'll be fractured into different
Yeah.
pieces. And like it's a humanity thing. It's not even just a political thing. It's people deserve to be fully integrated people. And so number one, fighting fascism. Number two, people deserve better. Like people just deserve better than being fed nonsense that's funded by billionaires.
No, I'm with you, and I think more than anything, also this ability to separate church and state and recognize that religion is being weaponized for politics. I mean, that's one of my big talking points. I really feel like religion is absolutely been and being weaponized for the benefit of politics. I think Christianity was hijacked years ago, and
70s.
exactly. Even before that, like the
Yeah.
Schofield Bible and the
Yeah.
concept of dispensationalism and all that. And by the way, I'm like zero religious person, but it's been fascinating to me because I see it. Like I literally sometimes when you're on the outside, you see things clearer. So like
Oh,
I
100%.
see what this administration is doing in trying to weaponize Christianity and use that to move forward their political agenda. And
Mhm.
it's pretty slick. It's pretty slick, but people are figuring it out. People are
It's by
figuring it out.
design, it's a playbook. No, you're
Yeah.
right. People are figuring it out. And so that's what I'm trying to shed light on.
Okay.
And then my real life activism, I'm involved with a congressional campaign here in Texas. We haven't launched quite yet, but we're hoping to flip a seat that is in a pretty hardcore red area, but
Okay.
we're
Interesting.
hoping that the Texas gerrymandering efforts works in our favor.
Okay. Okay. So do you consider yourself a Democrat now, or do you not even label yourself with a party?
Yeah, I'm involved with the Democratic Party. I'm a
Okay. Okay.
registered Democrat.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
that party, it's not perfect, obviously.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a
Sure.
lot of flaws structurally, a lot of flaws institutionally, but it's the one that aligns best with my views.
Okay.
Like
All
I
right. All right. Last question. What about your family right now? How's that relationship? Are they understanding of where you are? And are you like I don't want to say black sheep, but are you on an island with this new ideology that you have versus everyone else?
I mean, sadly, that's kind of the case. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm
my
sorry.
family is very very conservative. I wouldn't call them MAGA.
Okay.
They're more of the like conservatives. They're like, well, you don't have to like the person, but you have to vote for these policies. Um, and so it's been really tough because they don't understand. I don't think they really try to. I think they think that I've gone crazy. I think some of my family members probably question my salvation of my soul.
Wow.
Like I mean, the word disgusting has been used.
My
So
goodness.
it's really sad, but there are again, there are so many people out there who are experiencing the same thing in their families.
100%.
Just because
100%.
like it's gotten that serious. It's gotten that intense in
Yeah.
our just political discourse as a country.
It really has. It's really gotten that intense in our political discourse. That was a great way to put it. When is this congressional seat that you're working on? When is that?
We are launching the campaign on Tuesday.
Okay. Oh,
I'm
okay. Okay.
very excited.
Okay.
I am the like communications director for it, and so we're launching on Tuesday and then really hitting the ground running from there, and then it'll be up for election next November.
Next November. Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
Got it. So not this November. It's like a 1 year process.
right, yeah. So
Okay. Got
we're
it.
about to start the primary season for that seat.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, listen, I don't want to wait a year for you to come back on, but here's what I'd love to do. I'd love for you to get into this a little. I think today we were going to talk this redistricting in Texas and all that, but you know what? Let's do a full separate episode on that because I'd like to I think today was awesome. I wanted to get the Deep Shallow Dive community introduced to you, first of all. And this was really beneficial for me and I'm sure for everybody. But, maybe like next month we'll do another episode to really talk about that. And then I'd love to understand what goes into a campaign. Like when you guys are trying to flip a seat and this is this competitive on a local level, I think people need to understand what that process is. So if you're up for it,
Yeah,
we'll do that
I would
again.
love to talk about that. My husband's also working on it. So we're
Cool.
we're both very involved in it. I'd love to talk about the gerrymandering that's going on
Yes.
here, and
Yes.
a month from now, who knows what's going to happen between California and New York
Yeah.
and Florida,
Yeah.
and like it might just blow up even more, so we'll have even more to talk about.
Okay. A month from now, we'll do a 3-way episode. We'll slot your husband in if he wants to be a part of this as
Oh
well. I
yeah,
think that'd
he'd
be
love
super fun.
that.
Okay, cool. All right, listen, everybody. I hope you guys learned something with all this as I did. And most importantly, just think for yourself and really try and, not be held back by the dogma that maybe you grew up with. I love the term dogma. I really do. And honestly, this separation of church and state, or at least recognizing the weaponizing of religion and how that is attempting to influence your politics. That's one of my pillars right now that I'm really trying to just get people to be aware of. So anyway, all right, Caroline, I really appreciate it. Everybody call your parents, call a spade, and you know what? I might call your parents actually and tell them, hey, you got a great daughter. Just because she's thinking a little bit differently, she's a wonderful person. So stop being
Thank
mean to her.
you.
All right, I think I'll do that. All right, hang on the line. All right, everybody, we'll talk to you soon.
This episode was brought to you by Zippix nicotine toothpicks. Zip more, smoke less. Totally satisfying, discreet, and delicious. Zippix nicotine-infused toothpicks are available in 6 great flavors, each containing at least 2 milligrams of nicotine to curb those cravings. Zippix is FDA registered and proudly made in the USA. Use discount code DSD for 10% off your order at zippixtoothpicks.com. Zip more, smoke less, save 10%.